Welcome to Healthy Lifestyle with Lori Anne. I am Coach Lori Anne, America's #1 Take Action Success Coach and Strategist, empowering, educating, inspiring, and igniting people to take action with jet propulsion. We assist people to find and embrace their life purpose, live their highest vision, become the next best version of themselves, forging a strong foundation to what? Soar to success. For more information about how to work with me and my team, visit us at ldcstrategies.com. Our goal on Healthy Lifestyle, of course, is to empower minds, educate hearts, inspire action, and ignite success so you can choose to have a fulfilled, healthy, emotional, spiritual, and physical life, to live the life you have always wanted and dreamed. Welcome to the show. I hope you're having a beautiful day on Healthy Lifestyle. As usual, we're going to lift you up with some verbal caffeine to light you up with possibilities. And on our show today is our good friend, Amy Stein. She's been here before. Lots of news to deliver out there, and we're excited to be bringing this to you. And in a world where chronic pain and disease can be overwhelming, Amy's on a mission to empower women to take control of their health and well-being. As a guide and educator, she leverages the wisdom of ancient healing techniques to help women transform into their own best healers. Through tailored support and holistic practices, she assists them in reclaiming their lives from the grip of pain and disease. And Amy speaks from a place of knowledge, of knowing. She's been there. She has the t-shirts, a couple of them, and has gone through all of these things. Welcome to the show, Amy. I'm so happy and proud to have you here today.
Thanks, Lori Anne. I'm so excited to be back. I think it's our third show together.
Yes, it is. It is. You're almost becoming a regular. We're going to have to list you on our list, right? Our bylaws. So let's talk about this. You have really exciting news. What has happened recently?
I published my book. It was a big deal.
Are you meaning the Journey of Unlearning to Regain Trust and Healing?
That is the book that I published, and there's a companion workbook to go along with it. So if you don't want to read the book, if you're not ready yet, you can start with the workbook. And I break down the same discoveries in that workbook in easy to do daily prompts that you can just open up a page and say, what is it today? And so it's less intimidating.
I love that. Yeah. But the information in your book is so yummy. It really, I love when I fall in love with doing something, but then I want to learn about it, more about it. And this is what you did. You shared your learning experience. You shared all that information you've been gathering. You've read a lot of books. You've worked with a lot of people, and this is how you've discovered all of this information and put it into one easy package that you could take in a little book. So I love the workbook, though. I didn't know the companion workbook was out already. That's awesome. That's awesome. And I understand, even more exciting, that you'll soon be having courses that people will be able to take associated with the book. So when you get your book, you're jump starting yourself on the course, and then Amy's going to come in and give you the next level. So it's awesome. Let's just jump in, because everybody knows you from previous shows and stuff like that. So I want to jump in and say, how being disconnected from Mother Nature, does that increase dis-ease?
On so many levels, right? So in our society, we revere the screen, we revere technology. And listen, I'm not going to say that I want to go back before there was indoor plumbing. I like technology in some regards, but you are not going to find me with my phone on me. You're not going to find me in front of a screen all the time. You're not going to find me in the house all the time. You're going to find me most likely outside. And the reason is because I learned so much from Mother Earth and the wisdom that she holds. And because unfortunately we don't revere that wisdom anymore, we revere what's on the screen, what Dr. Google tells us, right? Like what social media tells us. We think that's the end all be all, but the wisdom is not there. The wisdom is outside in something that is bigger than us. And that is the example that I use for healing, because even a lot of these discoveries that I talk about in the book were things I couldn't necessarily see, right? And as a scientist, we're taught, if you can't see it, don't believe it because it's not real. But in fact, you can feel a lot of these things. And in our society, feeling is not given the same credence as sight, but it is just the same. It's one of the senses. You feel things sometimes deeper than what you can see. You can feel things on a deeper level. And so I invite people to get outside, to connect back to Mother Earth and the wisdom that's there, because it's the same wisdom that exists within you.
Totally agree. And one of the things our society does is it has us push down our emotions. And emotions are there for a purpose and a reason. Our emotion tells us we're not in alignment. If they're not good emotions, if they're not happy emotions, if they're the low vibrating emotions. When they're high vibrating, you're having a good time, everything is good because you're in alignment. You're doing what you're meant to do. You're in a place where you're meant to be, and you're having a good time without the requirement of additional help, without the requirement of anesthetizing our bodies. And that's what we do to deal with, generally speaking, to deal with the bad feelings that we have. We drink, right?
Mm.
We'll take drugs. We'll eat too much food, and usually bad food that kind of numbs us out to really feeling our feelings. The feelings are there to let us know, to indicate to us that something isn't right if it's a bad feeling. If something is right and in perfection with what we're supposed to do and be, it feels good. So it's all the good vibrations, those yummy, what I call yummy vibrations, right? Those yummy feelings. But when you're feeling bad, and that's some of your journey, just remind the listeners your journey and what you had, and then I want to dive a little bit deeper about healing and the mindset, which is my lovey. I love being in the mindset.
Yes. So I also want to say that, just to add on to what you were saying briefly, that sensations as well. So emotions and sensations are messages from the body. It's asking for help. It's saying, pay attention. There's something here that's important. And so when we walk around numb from the neck down, right, not feeling our emotions, not feeling our sensations, using external activity to make us feel better, we actually are disconnected from the wisdom that's within us, right? We don't value what our inner intuition is telling us, our higher self. We look outside of ourselves to someone in the lab coat. I wore the lab coat and I couldn't help myself, right? Like, I was a medical researcher at a big university here in New York. I was working with chronic pain patients who were geriatrics, and I was in my late 20s, and I began to resemble them. And I was like, what is going on here? There is something wrong. And I went to the same doctors that I had worked with for years, that I had worked in collaboration with at the same level. And they treated me just like any other patient. I was a number. Here's a prescription. Come back when it gets worse. And I was really not happy with that approach. Like, I questioned it. I asked if there were
Come
things.
back when it's worse, which one indicates that it's going to get worse, and two, it indicates that we don't really know. I do know they call it a practice, but they don't know. Then that's what it indicates to me. The language
Yeah.
suggests that to me, is what I'm saying.
And it's dismissive, right? And so I'd been dismissed my whole life as a kid. Like, I had symptoms, I had messages from my body. And when my parents would take me to the doctor, it was like, oh, you're too sensitive. Oh, your labs are quote unquote normal. But I didn't know any better, right? As a child, I'm just, hey, there's something wrong. My body's telling me something, because I could feel all these things that people couldn't see. I could sense that there was something wrong in my body. And so these sensations got worse in my late 20s, to the point that I became bedridden. I was 85 pounds, had 2 broken feet, couldn't leave the bathroom, couldn't get out of bed, right? Like, it was everything and anything, daily vertigo, daily migraines, ridiculous brain fog, to the point where I could not find words. I was saying what I thought I was saying, and people were arguing with me, telling me I was saying something completely different. Like, I thought I had a brain tumor. Like, I had no idea what was going on. And the solution was pills, protocols, physicians, pictures, and procedures. We'll cut the part out, take the pill, come back and get the picture done. We'll see what the imaging shows, do all the lab work. You walk around with your briefcase of your lab work, hoping the next doctor is going to save you, that they're going to be the savior. They're going to have their correct diagnoses. That protocol is going to work. And unfortunately, that model does not work, because it's a standardized approach. And in order to heal from chronic pain and chronic disease, you need a unique, individualized approach.
Sure. Yeah, you need, because we're all different. So no matter what your medical condition is, you need to be your own advocate, because only you know how your body's reacting. My sister used to react opposite to whatever medicine was on. So if she was giving something like to sleep, she'd be wide awake, like bing, and she'd be walking the floors. And if she was given something to stay awake, she'd be out cold. So we could give her coffee, out cold. We give her something to fall asleep, like some warm milk or something like that. She is walking the halls like there's no tomorrow. But who knew, right? Who knew? And again, doctors' answers are, well, that's not possible, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay, but this is the reality. So let's work in that reality. Myself, I had an ailment in my early 20s, and I didn't know what it was, and I couldn't find out what it was. And I went from doctor to doctor to doctor. I'm saying 16 doctors I went to, and they told me it was in my head. They told me I was oversensitive, all the things that you were saying, that it doesn't exist, that they can't find anything. They did every exam possible to see what it was. And it was basically my fault that I was having this. And I was just like, whatever. And then I started doing my own research and I found herbs. And then I got certified by Rosemary Gladstar Slick because she is the queen of herbs. And I learned something more about while I was getting to the answer and giving it a name. Because as soon as you give it a name and you find solution, then okay, now I have a little bit more control in my life. And I said, this person said, go to this doctor. And I was like, this will be the last doctor. I'm done because I'm going to do this method. And I walked into this doctor's office and I gave him my speech that I gave the other 16 of what the symptoms are. And he goes, oh, I know exactly what you have. You have colitis. I'm like, there's a name? I'm so excited. He goes, I see it all the time. He goes, yeah, it's colitis. From that point on, I was able to work with herbs and fix it. And now I haven't, knock on wood, I haven't had a colitis attack in years. Some of it was what some of the other doctors were saying was, you need to cut out the stress. Yeah, okay. I got to go to work. I have kids. Where am I cutting that out, dude? You have to keep your feet up when you're pregnant. Yeah. Okay. When's that going to happen? Hello. So, I thought he was funny, but the truth was there were things that was out of discourse, that was not in alignment with where I was supposed to be. And my body was telling me that this is not good. You're not paying attention. We're going to have to take you down. So you start listening to what's going on. And that's where the quieting, that's where meditation came in. And believe it or not, with the meditation and quieting and removing the items and things and people that were causing me stress and people, it changed everything. It changed my life. And I'm on no medications, none, zero, zip, as a result, right? So the research is important. And that's what you talk about. Honestly, that transitions into how now healing is more about mindset.
But it's not, though. But we say that it is, right? Because we think that mindset is just a mind.
More than mindset.
Yeah. So that's the thing. It's like, the problem is because in our society, we don't understand how the body works, and neither do doctors, right? So there is no nutritional training in medical school. Medical school is standardized education. When the Flexner Report came out in 1910, which is what I'm talking about in my next book, like the history of medicine, like medicine used to be a whole body approach, but then they wanted to standardize it to make more money, to make it an industry, to profit off of medicine and you being sick. And that's the issue, is that medicine is now an industry. It's not a whole body approach. It's not, I want you to be well. It's that I benefit from you being sick. Right. And that's the twistedness of it that really grossed me out. Being a medical researcher, being someone who thought like I was doing all these studies to help people, not understanding the pervasiveness of the undercurrent that exists there. And we'll save that for another day. But I just want to wet people like, if you want to go down that rabbit hole, we can follow you there. But for now, just so people understand, when you don't understand how the body works, a lot of the things you do work against it. So when you do all these things, trying to get a diagnosis, doing the next protocol, taking more of the pills, right? Trying all these different things. You do it as a manic healing energy, which is this term I coined, and it's all in your head. So I'm going to do more of this. I'm going to keep doing this thing. And that actually works against the wisdom of the body. The body likes slow and steady, doesn't like change. It doesn't like fast movement. It likes things to be done at a slow, steady tempo. And so when you do all these things, you're actually working against the body. And the body is only designed to heal or fight. It cannot do both at the same time. So if you're constantly fighting and resisting and in this proving energy, like I talk about in my book of like, I was trying to prove to doctors there was something wrong with me. I was trying to prove it with the research, prove it with the books, prove it to myself that there was something wrong. I was taking that precious energy away from healing.
Yeah.
You have a finite amount. And so you can only use it and then you have none left. So I spent all this time on the merry-go-round to nowhere, proving with my lab work, wanting a diagnosis, desperate for someone to fix me, desperate for someone to tell me what to do that would work. And it actually caused more disease, more disconnection, more imbalance in my body.
Sure. I can tell you from my story is that as I was empowering myself and doing the research and learning about herbs and, trying to find out what about that area was causing this or what was I doing to cause this. When I wasn't getting answers, I was weakened. I was much more weakened. I had more attacks. When I finally got a name to it, I popped up. Now, this sounds really crazy, but I know when I'm sick and I take my temper and I'm like able to move around. It's fine. I know I don't feel right. It's just not, I'm not at the level that I normally are. As soon as I take my temperature, if I know I have a temperature, I'm on my back. I am flat on my back. I'm feeling terrible. Now everything is elevated because in my head, I'm sick. I have a fever. I need to lay down. And that is something I learned. So how do we unlearn how to heal?
So it's about not owning, because emotions and sensations are temporary, right? They're not permanent states of being. But when we focus only on that, when we want to be defined by diagnoses because we think it will make us feel better, and in the moment it does, because you're like, hey, I have an answer. But then when we define ourselves with it, I have this condition, I am this way.
Yes.
You own it, and the body is always listening. So the body's like, okay, so you want more of that then? So then it brings more of it, right? And then we think, oh, mindset, I'll just change my thoughts. It will be fine. No, because the real healing doesn't occur in the mind, it occurs in the body. So if you're doing everything only in the mind, numb from the neck down, you will not achieve full body healing because you're missing all of the other parts that go along with it. So for years, I was doing all the things, the plant medicine, the energy medicine, right? I was doing all the different ancient healing, but I was still just doing it in my mind. So I was not achieving whole body healing. I still didn't want to feel the sensations. I didn't want to feel all the pain. I didn't want to feel the emotions. I didn't want to feel the past trauma. But you need to feel it in order to heal it, is the popular refrain, right? You need to move through it. It doesn't mean that you have to tell the story 75 times. It's not like talk therapy where we keep regurgitating the same story. The body creates the same trauma when doing that. So when you keep telling the same story, when you keep saying, I have this diagnosis, I am this thing, I feel this way, I have this, you're recreating the trauma in the body. You're actually creating more stuck energy, stuck emotion, which is leading to more pain, which is leading to more disease. So we need to interrupt the cycle. You don't do that with affirmations. You do that with the wisdom of the body by
Yes.
quieting the noise, right? You said by taking the time to sit with what comes up in the body, to
Yeah.
experience what is there, to actually feel the emotions, feel the sensations with curiosity. So Dr. Kim Duramo, who's an energy medicine practitioner I followed a long time and I still follow, she says, what's right about this I'm not getting? To flip it on its head rather than creating the story, falling into the story, which is what humans always do. We create the story, right? Like, oh, I have a migraine again. It's because X, Y, and Z. I ate this thing. I was around this person. I had to do this thing, whatever it may be. We fall into the story so easily. We actually feed it more.
Yeah.
But if we stop and say, what is right about this? My body's trying to tell me, I need a break. My brain hurts. I'm going to get off the computer. I need to rest. I need to take a nap. Maybe I need to do something that's restorative, right? Like this is what it's about.
Yes.
But we're not taught these things, so we don't understand how to do them. It
Yes.
doesn't make it bad. We just don't understand.
Yeah, well, it's because of how we're taught to focus on things and
Right.
to push it down, right? And you really do need to feel it in order to go through, to feel it, to heal it. So
Right.
so if you're shushing everything and you're like, okay, no, and that's one of the things that got me through this is that I recognized it. And what I teach when I'm coaching is you first there's an acknowledgement. You got to acknowledge. So that's why I like putting a name on it. So give it a name.
Mhm.
I don't care what the name is, but then
Right.
you release it. I say when we repeat those stories like talk therapy, you're giving it lift, you're giving it air, you're lifting it back up in, and it was finally settling down. It's kind of like gossip.
Right.
Finally let it settle down, and you go up to somebody and go, hey, Amy, this didn't really happen, and you didn't have any knowledge of it whatsoever. I just lifted it up back into the air again. So the same
Exactly.
thing with healing our bodies is if we continually tell ourselves that story and fall into labeling everything a disease, which I have
Hmm.
exception to, because some things are not diseases, some things are diseases, and most of them
Hmm.
are. And then some things are not diseases at all, they're self-inflicted because you made choices that inflicted this pain on you and you're just not owning it. And that goes to my accountability side. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, let's just own that we chose to take all that medicine. Let's just own that we decided to take all that medicine without any prescriptions associated with it. And now you're getting these side effects. So let's own that and then let's
Right.
move through it. It's
It's the
fine.
responsibility of it, right? Like I chose this, there's a consequence to it, and now I'm going to take the responsibility that yes, people say, well, I did this to myself. That's awful. Well, you didn't necessarily do it to yourself, but you created the choices that have set this situation up, right? Like a lot of it was preventative, but you didn't know any better. But you can always start again, right? Like you can always start in the next moment and choose differently.
Yes.
Or do the research and find something else. Like we've been indoctrinated that health and sickness look like something, and that's actually not true. And we've also been indoctrinated about what cured and healing mean. Cured is not like that's a band-aid. There is no curing of something, right? Like it is, it's a healing is a journey. It's a never ending. As long as you're in a physical body, there will be manifestations coming up that will be physical, emotional, energetic, spiritual, electric. That's just the way it is of being in a human form. And so when we tell people you are not cured, that sets them up for a problem.
Yeah, without a doubt, without a doubt. You're listening to Healthy Lifestyle with Lori Anne. We're going to take a short break. We're going to come back with Amy Stein, and she's going to give us even more good yumminess to ponder. All right, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Healthy Lifestyle with Lori Anne. I am Coach Lori Anne. And if you would like to be a guest or lift up your business, product, or not-for-profit, or if you have a question or comment, we would love to hear from you. Email us at healthylifestylewithla@gmail.com. That's healthylifestylewithla@gmail.com. We're here today speaking with Amy Stein, unbelievable new book out called The Journey of Unlearning to Regain Trust and Healing in all different formats on Amazon. Go for it. Go to your local bookstore. You need to pick this up. It's amazing. And there's a companion workbook, so you could start with that if you want. I really recommend you read the book and get the workbook, because the workbook will let you work through on a daily basis, but the book will give you some really nice, yummy background that will give you that strong foundation you need to go through this journey. Amy, welcome back, and thank you so much for being here. We were talking about always being able to start again. We can start at any time. We can start today, tomorrow. It doesn't have to be next Monday. It doesn't have to be, January? We don't have to wait for January to come to start. We can start in the next minute if we want. We can make bad food choices this minute and take the next minute and make less bad choices. So let's talk about that restarting and starting again, and helping people understand that ability to jumpstart when we're taking care of ourselves.
Yeah, it's the process of unlearning, right? So I talk about this in the book of that you unlearn everything you thought you knew about basically life. Right? So your beliefs, what you thought health and sickness looked like, what you think is right and wrong. Like we're so stuck in this duality society of everything has to be black or white, right or wrong. There's so much gray. So when we are so defined and pigeonholed and it has to look this way, it should should be like this, I have to do it this way, it actually causes us to remain stuck. And it paralyzes us in fear. So then we don't take the next small step. So I encourage people to take the next small step. It can be so, so small, because when we take too big of a step, the body will appear to sabotage us. And it's like, nope, that's dangerous. We're not going to do that. Try again. Good job. Let's not do that again. Right. And so then we think like, oh, that diet didn't work for me, or I can't break that habit, or I can't change that behavior, or I can't choose differently because my body is rejecting it. No, you just chose too big. You reached too far. You can make change. It just has to be not scary to the body. And the way to do that is with small steps. So we take the next small step. We start again in the next moment. We start again that night, that morning, right? Like, to have compassion for yourself. You're human.
Yeah.
You don't know it all. Like you don't walk out, you're not born and you start walking and talking. It's an evolution, and healing is the same way. It doesn't look the same for everybody. It's not black and white. It's not a quick fix. There's no magic pill, right?
Well, and look at the, and I'll use the baby, the evolution. Look at a baby doesn't come out and sprint across the room. There's a process to it, and it needs to take steps, and it needs to take moments, and it needs to be in their own time. So how long it takes you may be significantly, substantially different than how it would take somebody else. It doesn't mean it's good, bad, or indifferent. It just is. And we have to be able live in the present, in what works for us, not compare. Frequently I say, keep your eyes on your own page. Remember that in school? Keep your eyes on your own paper. Stop looking at other people. That's what you're doing in your life. Keep your eyes on your own paper. You're
Right.
exactly where you're meant to be. And the have tos aren't have to. There's nothing you have to do. You get to do certain things and you get to choose. And it's all about choices. It
Yes.
starts with awareness and then you get to choose what steps. You get to
Yes.
decide whether or not you take a medicine. You get to decide whether or not you're going to start with a certain herb. You get to decide. But the overwhelming part is so true.
Hmm.
Think of it as a law of replacement. The reason why resolutions are so failed is because they make them too big and they want them done in
Yes.
a short period of time. I'm like, that
Yes.
doesn't happen overnight. So that's it's you're setting yourself up for failure. So why don't we take that resolution? Let's resolve to ourselves that we're going to try better, do better, give ourselves grace to take those baby steps one at a time and take that big project because that's what it is, right? If we're
Hmm.
changing how we're doing something, if we're
Yes.
addressing a sensation or a feeling in our body, we're going to have to take little baby steps. So let's take little baby steps. Don't worry about the jumps will come. The jumps will come. They're natural, don't you think?
I think so. And I think that, the biggest thing is that when you're doing all of the things and you're just doing them in your mind and you are frustrated because you're not seeing the changes, once you land in the body, the changes are like that. Like they're very fast. They come very fast. And the problem is too in our society in this like next day Amazon instantaneous. I want everything now. I want it to be convenient. I want it to, look the way it's supposed to look. We have unrealistic expectations and we've put on these unrealistic expectations on all aspects of our life. So when things don't go our way or if something doesn't work as quickly as we want it to work, we think it's not working. So
Right.
the other thing I do with people is with the small steps, we also celebrate the small wins
Yes.
because
Yes.
you can forget. And so like I give people a workbook and a tracker of like, let me track my symptoms. Let me track the improvements I made. Let me track the changes I'm making. So when I'm having a tough week, I can look back and go, shit, look what happened last week. Like I did all these things and this is great. And I wouldn't have remembered this stuff. Like this is what you have to remind yourself because healing is hard. It is really hard. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but it's simple
It's
in
it's it's
theory, but it's not easy,
yeah,
right?
well,
So like it's very can be very simple, but we overcomplicate it.
yes,
We
absolutely.
make it harder than it needs to be. And so when you do it in a way that the body recognizes, in a way that works with the body, not against the body, you get to choose what's best for you, right? Like I say that all the time. In those small steps, then you will achieve more healing. Then you will achieve more balance. Then you will achieve more connection with all parts of you. Then you will find the people, you will find the breadcrumbs of those, that will help you. I talk
Yes.
about this all the time of like, there are always breadcrumbs that the universe is giving you. We're just not aware of them because we're not paying attention.
We need to listen for them though. So those
Yeah,
are what I call
yeah,
whispers and nudges. You need to
yeah,
listen. You need to listen
yeah,
to your body. It is
yeah.
giving us everything that we need to answer the questions. We already have all the answers inside of us. We just always are taught to look externally for all those answers. The answers are here. You already know the answer to your question when you ask it to me. You already know, and that's what we're getting from our doctors. We want validate.
Yeah,
We already know. We know what's
yeah,
going on. We just
right.
need validation from somebody who's certified, authorized, whatever, licensed. I don't know, all these things that
Got
are
some letters after their name, right?
yeah, yeah. I've always wanted letters after my name, but my name's so long, I don't think it would fit.
I
Um,
have letters and it doesn't mean anything, believe
right.
me.
So we really need to just, look at how society is established and really I want you to examine the word expert. What says that they're an expert?
Hmm. Hmm.
Because I have a book out, I'm an expert? Maybe, maybe
Right.
not. It just depends on what your definition for expert is. But it really goes back to the making decisions and choices and understanding what it is you need and doing it quietly and it's the quiet time that's important. That's why it's so important to connect with Mother Nature, shut off all those electronics and go outside and feel the feelings. It's important to feel those feelings, good, bad, or ugly. We learn from good, bad, and ugly.
Yes.
We learn from the steps we take and we don't take. And that's okay. That's what we're supposed to do. And if you, Amy, hadn't gone through all this, you wouldn't be able to help us through it faster. So you get us there quicker and further because you've experienced it and you can explain it to us in a method that we can understand and apply it faster. That's what I mean. It still takes the
Hmm.
baby steps, but now we're educated and we don't have all those other questions that encompassed your journey, which was like, why is this happening? How come this is happening? Why is this working? Why is this not? I have a friend who will try something new and said, yeah, I'll try acupuncture, or I'll try whatever, sound healing. all different kinds of things. And they'll try it once and say, this doesn't work. Well, no,
Hmm.
it doesn't work once. It has to be a
Right.
cumulative, like anything new, even medication, it's cumulative. It doesn't happen like that. And so if, I'm not, as you listeners know, I am not inclined to take pharmaceuticals. So I am more inclined to wait it out and find which herbs, which modality, whatever is going to help me. More importantly, why? Why do I have these feelings? Why is this happening? That's more important in any growth, is asking not getting involved with that
Asking the
emotion,
why.
but asking the why. What? Here's the question I ask. What am I supposed to learn? What am I supposed to learn here about me, about my body, about what's going on so that I heal? My mother-in-law, God bless her, she's doing really well. She had this instinct that she needed to get a chest x-ray. There wasn't anything she could point to. The doctor was like, no, you're fine. It sounds good. Everything's good. No worry. And she goes, I need an x-ray. I need you to give me an x-ray. I just have a feeling. And so she did. And P.S., don't you know, she caught a very small dot of cancer in her lung. Had she not followed that, she would not have known that that existed, because the doctor was like, yeah, fine. Now that could have blown up into something that was not manageable, and it is manageable, and she's now cancer free
Right.
because she listened to her
She
instinct.
trusted her gut. Yeah, she trusted her gut. And that's what we've been conditioned out of in our society. Like you said, we've been conditioned to look outside of ourselves. I just want to say this quote that made me think of this quote when you were saying about the doctor. So Dr. Mark Hyman, who's written many books about whole body healing and, unlearning everything you thought you knew. He says the smartest doctor in the room is your own body. So like
Yes.
just let that sink in. Like the smartest doctor in the room is your own body. Nobody knows your own body better than you. So when someone is telling you and they're in a lab coat or they have special letters after their name that, oh, there's nothing wrong, your labs are normal, and you feel like there isn't, trust that, because your body is so far intelligent than lab work that it will give you signs and symptoms before the labs will pick them up.
Yeah.
So just like you shared the story of your mother-in-law, like she knew that there was something wrong. I mean, I hear this all the time. I saw it with myself. Like I knew there was something wrong as a child, but it was like, no, you're just sensitive. There's nothing wrong with you. Right. And I had all these predispositions setting me up for these conditions, but it wasn't talked about. Trauma wasn't talked about. Food wasn't talked about. Quality of food, right? Like I'm a child of the 80s. We ate a lot of processed food. That's when ultra processed food was like really pushed to children with TV and
That's
things
when it
like
came
that.
out.
Right?
That's when they
Yeah.
started doing
It started in the
biochemical.
50s. It
Yeah.
started in the 50s, but in the 80s was when it was like really hammered home because big tobacco took it over. And
Yeah.
so they were like, oh, this is our new cigarettes, ultra processed food, like
Well,
money,
because
money, money.
they discovered this thing in the back of your tongue, which is an
Yes,
addictive quality, and they know how to
yes.
manipulate that. So they just
Yes,
brought it.
with flavoring. Right. So like, if you can't have tacos, but you could have taco to flavored Doritos and get the sensation of eating tacos without, having to eat a taco. Like it's all the flavorings. It's the Dorito effect. If anyone wants to read that book, it was really interesting. It went through the history of flavoring. But like, I'm a nerd, so I'm going to tell you all the books, but because I
Love
read
that.
them.
I'm writing it
I read
down.
them
The
all
Dorito thing.
because I read them all. But I think it's really important for people to understand from this conversation. Like the biggest takeaway I want to hammer home is that you know what's best for you. You get to choose what's best for you. Even if you don't choose in the moment that you feel like is the better of the two choices that are equally or not great, just make a choice. Just take the first step, however small it may be, right? And take the responsibility of what your life could be like.
Yeah.
How do what is your health worth to you? We live in a very sick society. It's only getting worse. And it's so important now that people take those steps. Most of the diseases now are prevented. They're prevented. You can do things to prevent them.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
about prevention. And the thing is that is not what you're going to learn in the doctor's office. They're just going to micromanage you. It's going to be, on this sick care journey.
But
So it's
understand that's what they're taught when they go to school. They're told
exactly.
that. So
It
it's not
doesn't
really
make them
their
bad
fault.
people.
It's not with
It's the
intention.
system.
Yeah,
Right.
it's the system. That's what they're taught. And even they're getting, frustrated with it because it doesn't make sense. And so there's a
Right.
certain element that goes through a system like this that now they're waking up. It's almost like the doctors are waking up. And it's not that they aren't giving good advice and good suggestions, but you're the last say. You're the last
Right.
word. You get to say
Yes.
yes or no to anything. They don't get
Yes.
to say. And I wasn't brought up that way. If the doctor
Right.
said, you need to do X, we did X. There was no questioning
Exactly.
the doctor because he was the authority. I'm
Yes.
not in that world anymore. I question everything. Well,
Everybody.
I ask a lot of questions anyway. That's why I have a radio show, because I was like, there needs to be an application for my question asking. So here we found it.
I need to get all the experts on so I can ask all my questions.
I know, because it's crazy. Yeah. So I love that you put together a book, you put together a companion workbook that allows people to really go through the journey themselves and experience it and educate themselves. You need to understand when you go to the grocery store that just if you have to go to a grocery store, which most of us do, just shop the perimeter. Please don't go to the shelving, because as soon as you do, you're getting all those chemicals, all those preservatives, all those items that over in Europe they don't even allow.
Exactly. Yes. You
They
and I
don't
have talked
allow
about
it.
this before. I know you and I
Yeah,
have talked about this before because it still makes me so angry. And the thing that I found,
it's the
so
same
this is
company.
I know it's the same, and they make it in the United States and ship it out to Canada and ship it out to Europe with these less harmful ingredients in them, with only 5 ingredients versus 45 ingredients, because it is allowed here because it's a profit. Food
Right.
industry is a profit here, and it's not that in Europe.
Yeah.
And so what I found that was horrifying doing the research for this next book was I didn't realize. So I thought, buying organic grains for my husband, because I don't eat grains, but for him was better. It was a better option, right? But I didn't realize that they can call it organic and still spray Roundup to
Yep.
dry the grains as part of the drying process in the harvesting process, and it still meets the organic qualification standards
Yeah.
with Roundup sprayed on it. Like, that's not talked about. And,
Yes.
and this name, this genetically creating organic fish now. And people are like, oh, it's organic. It's fine. No, it's farmed fish. They're just calling it organic. So the organic label has been really diluted.
Yeah.
And I think people need to understand that food is an industry. Again, like crops that are subsidized are not good crops. They're, very genetically modified, herbal items that are really not food. Your body doesn't recognize as food, and they're fed to the conventional animals. So again, it's a pervasive, it's all levels. Like, it's not just don't eat these things, it's also don't eat these animals that eat these things, right? So like, I think it's really important that people understand where their food is coming from. If
Yeah.
you
And
have the ability to have local farmers like you and I have, like we have friends that are farmers, we get our food from them. I
yeah.
grow a lot of my own food, and so do you. I think it's really important for people to get back to that.
Yeah, I do. And I think we're moving that. I know my sons are moving in that direction as well. They
Yeah.
want land so that they can grow their own food and be a little bit more autonomous, but also so they can control the quality, because they know the difference
Yes.
between a pepper from the store and a pepper from our backyard. It really
Yes.
has flavor. It has
Yes.
flavor again. Like, I remember peppers. It's like an explosion of flavor in your mouth, whereas the peppers from the store, it's like it's a pepper. There's really
And
not
it's
much.
more
It's
nutrient
like
dense.
water. Yeah,
Right, because when it's picked from your backyard, it was not trucked across the country, right? It was picked at ripeness. It wasn't picked unripe across the country where there's no nutritional value left to it. Even organic produce that's been picked and shipped has little to no, or nutrients left in it,
right.
because the soil is depleted. It not being picked at ripe time. So it's really important to get back to this idea. You can grow things in your backyard, on a patio, on a porch. It is very manageable, just if you want to grow herbs, right? And so this is what we do. We educate people at Celtic Apothecary. I do workshops there to educate people how to grow their own food, how to use what they're in their spice cabinet to make medicine. I think it's really important for people to understand that there is a lot of things that you can do.
Yes, without a doubt, without a doubt. And it's not difficult. It's really not difficult. I literally threw the seed for the pepper plant I literally threw it in the pot. I was like, poof. I didn't do anything with it. And all of a sudden I have all these beautiful peppers. It's beautiful. But it was like, what now? What is that? Oh, it's a pepper. It was amazing. And it's so good for the kids to learn. My chickens are fabulous. All my
Yes,
leftover stuff, all my fruits and vegetables go to the chickens. They love it. Even
and it
corn.
creates food.
And they
it's
create
creating
food.
the food.
Yep, yep. And they're adorable. I love my chickens. They're so cute. I come out, they run up to me. They make me laugh all the time. And then they follow me like a little parade. It's adorable. So, I mean, I love having that. My pup loves being with it. And I'm fortunate enough to have land to do it. But you could do these in pots on a terrace if you wanted to. You could do them in your house. So I encourage you to do that. Amy Stein, last thing, quieting the noise to find the answers for healing. How do we do that real quick? 1 minute.
Yes. So it's being mindful of what you ingest visually, audially, right? Like what you're listening to, what you're watching. I don't watch the news. I don't watch anything violent. I am really mindful of what I ingest visually because I need to be aware of how that's affecting my system. Your body does not understand that it's not happening to you. So if you're watching something violent on TV, the body thinks it's actually happening to you. And then you create this energetic traumatic response in your system.
Yeah, it has the same reaction if it's a bear is coming towards you, if you're watching the bear coming towards you on the
Exactly.
TV. It does
Exactly.
not discern, and it doesn't discern time. So if it
Right.
happens to you decades ago, and you feel it, it's
Exactly.
still happening to the body.
Yeah.
So that's why
Yeah.
you need to feel it in order to heal it. You
Yeah.
have to do that. Amy, your website is mindbodyspiritbreath.com to get more information from Amy, to go to her classes. She has so many things out. I get on her email list because I get the lessons, the classes coming in to go get more information so you could really empower yourself. Any last thoughts?
Get the book. Just get the book. If you have any symptoms, if you have anyone in your life that's dealing with symptoms, like who isn't? Get the book. I put it all in there. I read thousands of books. I couldn't find one book that had everything in one place. I knew I was going to write this book. It took 3 years, but here it is.
Yeah.
I'm proud of it, and I know it's going to help a lot of people. So please get the book.
Yeah, that's the best action you can take as soon as this is over. Links are following this episode. So the link to the Amazon, the name of the book is The Journey of Unlearning to Regain Trust and Healing. It is amazing, by Amy Stein. Amy, you are a treasure. You are a gift. Thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for being my friend. I love that you're doing this and you're sharing all this, and I can't get enough of this out. So please come back. You have so much more to teach us. I would love you to come back and help our listeners really gain control over their health.
Yes. Stay tuned.
There you go. Thank you so much. And thank you all for joining us today and sharing this time with us on Healthy Lifestyle with Lori Anne. I hope we've earned the privilege of your time. Again, I want to thank our guest today, Amy Stein, and look for our show next Saturday at 3 p.m. on JVC Broadcasting and iHeartRadio. We can also be found on all major platforms and would be so grateful if you please like, follow, share, and subscribe. And please take a moment to join our Take Action community, where you will interact with like-minded individuals and have access to all of my tools. There are giveaways, challenges, and other kind of yummies. I'm not going to let you know what those are. Until next time, I am Coach Lori Anne, America's #1 Take Action success coach and strategist. Let your dreams be bigger than your fears, and let your life be filled with joy. Have a really good day. See you next week. Take care.